My husband disappeared 10 years ago. Today, he walked in with a new family. The little girl was maybe 6 years old. She had his eyes, the same deep-set hazel eyes I had spent 10 years trying to forget. She was holding his hand in the cereal aisle of a Kroger in Columbus, Ohio, the same city where he had kissed me goodbye one Tuesday morning and simply never came back. I stood there holding a box of granola bars. He looked up, and for exactly 3 seconds, neither of us moved. His new wife was 2 steps behind him, reaching for something on the top shelf. She was pregnant. I put the granola bars back on the shelf. I walked to my car. I sat in the parking lot for 45 minutes before I could make my hands stop shaking enough to drive. And then I made a decision. Not to scream, not to call him, not to fall apart, to finish what he started. Before I keep going, if this is already hitting different, hit like and subscribe. Drop your city in the comments. I want to know where you're watching from. My name is Claire. I'm 41 years old. And this is the story of the 10 years I spent being a widow for a man who was alive the entire time. Let me take you back to 2008. I was 29 when I met Daniel at a mutual friend's birthday dinner in Cincinnati. He was 33. He worked in commercial real estate, not glamorous, but steady. He was the kind of man who showed up early, stayed late, and always remembered your coffee order. He remembered mine on the second date. Black, no sugar. He brought it to me in a paper cup with my name on it. Claire with a lowercase c. He said he liked the way it looked humble. I thought that was the most specific, ridiculous, perfectly romantic thing anyone had ever said to me. We dated for 2 years. We got engaged on a Tuesday. No fanfare, no elaborate proposal. He just slid a ring across the kitchen table one morning over scrambled eggs and said, "I want to do this with you forever. What do you think?" I thought yes. We got married in October 2010. Small ceremony, 40 people. I wore my grandmother's earrings. He cried when he saw me walk in. I have the photo on my phone still. I don't look at it anymore, but I can't make myself delete it either. The first 2 years of marriage were good, genuinely good. We bought a house, a small colonial in Westerville with a porch I loved and a backyard that flooded every spring. We talked about kids. We got a dog, a fat beagle named August. We had dinners with friends and argued about the thermostat and took a trip to Portugal that I still think about on bad days. In 2012, something shifted. Not dramatically. Not in a way I could point to and say, that was the moment. It was more like the temperature dropped by 2 degrees. Slowly enough that you convince yourself you're imagining it. He started working later. He became quieter at dinner. He stopped reaching for my hand in the car. When I asked if something was wrong, he said he was stressed about a deal falling through. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He had never lied to me, or so I thought. There was one moment that I filed away and tried to forget. It was February 2013, about 7 months before he disappeared. We were watching television on a Sunday night. His phone buzzed on the coffee table. He picked it up, looked at it, and put it face down so fast that it knocked his beer sideways. He didn't react to the beer. He just stared at the TV like nothing happened. I said, "Who was that?" "Work," he said. "On a Sunday night?" "Deal in Chicago, different time zones." He got up and went to the kitchen. I heard the faucet run for a long time. I told myself, he's stressed. He's distant because he's under pressure. This is what marriage looks like sometimes. You don't interrogate. You give grace. I gave grace. I gave so much grace, it left me empty. September 14th, 2013. A Tuesday. I remember the date the way people remember the date a parent dies. Not because it's important, because the brain brands certain days into you against your will. Daniel left for work at 7:15 a.m., like every morning. He kissed me on the temple, not on the lips, I noticed. But I didn't say anything. He scratched August behind the ear. He picked up his keys. "Have a good day," I said. "You too," he said. That was it. By 6 p.m., he hadn't answered my texts. By 9 p.m., I called his office and got voicemail. By midnight, I called his coworker Marcus, who sounded confused when I asked if Daniel had been in the office that day. "He put in for a personal day," Marcus said. "He said he had a family thing." A family thing? I filed a missing persons report at 2 a.m. The police found his car 3 days later at a long-term parking garage near Dayton. His wallet was gone. His passport was gone. His laptop was gone. Nothing else. No note. No goodbye. No, I'm sorry. Just absence. The investigation lasted 8 months. The working theory was that Daniel had staged his disappearance. No evidence of foul play, no body, no activity on his accounts after the 14th. The detectives were kind. They told me it happened more than people think, that some people simply choose to erase themselves from their own lives. They did not say, "And they erase you too," but that's what they meant. I spent 3 years waiting for him to come back, then 2 years angry, then 2 years numb. By the time I was 38, I had rebuilt something that looked like a life from the outside. I had a job I was good at. I'm a speech pathologist. I had friends. I had August, who was 12 by then, and gray around the nose. I had the house in Westerville, which I had refused to sell out of some stubbornness I still can't fully explain. I had not started divorce proceedings because you cannot divorce someone who is legally missing. So I was a wife, to no one. And then I went to Kroger on a Wednesday morning in March 2023. And there he was, in the cereal aisle, with his daughter and his pregnant wife. Looking older, looking healthy, looking like a man who had not spent a single day of the last decade being haunted. I need to stop here and ask you something, because I've told this story to exactly 4 people before today, and every single one of them asked me the same question. Why didn't you go up to him right then? And I want to hear from you. What would you have done? Standing there in a grocery store, holding granola bars, looking at the man who erased you. His child is right there. His new pregnant wife is right there. Do you walk up? Do you say his name? Do you just watch? Tell me in the comments. I mean it. I want to know. Because here's what I did. I left. Not because I was afraid. Not because I was still in love with him. I left because, in that moment, something cold and very clear settled in my chest, and it told me, you only get one shot at this. Do not waste it on tears in a grocery store. So I went home, and I got to work. The first thing I did was call my friend Renata, who is a family law attorney. I told her what I'd seen. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Claire, I need you to not contact him. Not yet. Can you do that?" "Yes," I said. "Good," she said, "because if he's been living under a new identity, what you just found is not just a personal matter." She was right. We started with what I had. I had seen him clearly. I had seen the little girl. I had seen the woman. Late 30s, dark hair, a yellow coat. I hired a private investigator. His name was Gary. He was 58. He drove a beige Honda Accord, and he was methodical in a way that I found deeply comforting. Within 2 weeks, Gary had found him. His name was now David Marsh. David Marsh lived in a 3-bedroom house in the suburb of Dublin, Ohio. 22 minutes from my house in Westerville. 22 minutes. I had driven past that suburb 100 times in 10 years and never known. David Marsh was a licensed real estate agent. Same field, different name. He had a daughter named Sophie, age 6. His wife's name was Trish. They had been married for 8 years, which meant he had married her 2 years after he disappeared from my life. Which meant, and this part took me a few days to fully absorb, he had met her before he left. Gary found photos of a real estate conference in 2012. Daniel and a woman matching Trish's description, standing at a cocktail reception in Indianapolis. He didn't run away from his life. He ran toward hers. I sat with that for a week. I let it hurt as much as it needed to. I cried twice. Once in the shower, once while sitting on the porch at night with August, who put his old gray head in my lap like he understood. Then I dried out. And I asked Renata, What are our options? The options were significant. Daniel, David, had obtained a new identity using fraudulent documents. That is a federal crime. He had abandoned a legal marriage and entered into a second one without dissolving the first. That made his marriage to Trish legally invalid. Bigamy, another crime. He had collected a small life insurance payout from a policy his mother had named him on, which had been distributed to his estate after he was declared legally missing. That potentially constituted fraud. Renata laid it all out on a yellow legal pad. We also discussed the other option, the quiet one, the one that didn't involve police or courts or news coverage. I thought about it for 3 days, and I chose both, but in a very specific order. I sent him a letter, not to his home address, to his office, the real estate agency where David Marsh worked. Renata helped me draft it. It was 1 page. It said, "I know who you are. I know where you live. I know your daughter's name. I know your wife doesn't know she isn't legally your wife. You have 14 days to meet with me, or I proceed with what I know to the appropriate authorities. Claire, no surname." He knew which Claire. He called me from an unknown number 6 hours later. I had been waiting for that call for 10 years, and when it came, I felt nothing. No heart racing, no tears, just a very still, very cold clarity. Claire. His voice. 10 years older. Still him. "Daniel," I said. Just his name. "Let him sit in it." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "How long have you known?" 3 weeks, I said. "I want to meet in person, somewhere public. You pick the place. That's the one courtesy I'll give you." He picked a coffee shop in Grandview Heights. Neutral territory. No one who knew either of us. I brought Renata. He didn't know she was coming. He arrived alone, which told me he hadn't told Trish. He walked in and stopped when he saw Renata. He started to say something, and she put a folder on the table. "Sit down, Daniel," I said. He sat. I had prepared a list of questions. Not emotional ones, practical ones. I wanted answers, and I wanted them on record. Renata's recorder was running with his knowledge, which is legal in Ohio. Why did you leave? When did it start with Trish? Did you plan it in advance, or did you panic? Did you ever intend to tell me the truth? He answered everything, not bravely. He was sweating through his shirt, but he answered. He and Trish had met in November 2012. He said he knew within a month that he wanted to leave our marriage. He said he was a coward. He said he didn't know how to tell me. He said he thought, and this is the part I will never fully make peace with, he thought it would be kinder to simply disappear. "Kinder," I said. "I know how that sounds," he said. "I don't think you do," I said. "I filed a missing persons report. I thought you were dead. I grieved you. I couldn't get a death certificate, so I couldn't settle the estate. I couldn't remarry because legally I was still your wife. I spent 4 years in therapy, and I still dream about the morning you left sometimes. You thought that was kinder than a conversation." He didn't answer. There was nothing to say. I told him what was going to happen next. He was going to tell Trish the truth, all of it. He had 72 hours. After that, Renata would be filing a formal report with law enforcement, and we would be seeking an annulment of their marriage, back settlement of the marital assets he had vacated without legal process, and potentially pursuing the insurance fraud angle depending on how he cooperated. He looked like a man watching his house burn down. "She's 7 months pregnant," he said. "I know," I said. "I'm sorry for that. I genuinely am. She didn't do anything wrong. I meant it. Trish was a victim too. She had built a life on a lie just like I had, except she didn't even know the foundation was rotten." I stood up. I picked up my bag. 72 hours, Daniel, and then it's out of my hands. I walked out into the October afternoon, and the sun was low and gold, and I stood on the sidewalk for a moment before I found my car and thought, I survived him leaving. I will survive this too. He told Trish in 48 hours. I know this because she called me. I wasn't expecting that. It was 9 p.m., a Friday. Her name came up as unknown on my phone, but I answered. And when she said her name, I sat down on the stairs in the hallway and just held the phone. "I don't know why I'm calling," she said. "I don't know what I want from you. I just needed to hear your voice, I think. To know you were real." "I'm real," I said. "He told me everything." She was crying. Controlled crying, the kind you do when you're trying very hard not to fall apart. "Our marriage isn't legal." "No," I said. "It's not. I'm 32 weeks pregnant." "I know. I'm sorry. None of this is your fault." We talked for 40 minutes. This woman I had never met, who had unknowingly been living in the life that was supposed to be mine. We didn't become friends. I want to be clear about that. But I do think we understood each other in a way that required no explanation. 2 weeks later, Renata filed the formal report with the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office. Daniel, David, was interviewed by federal agents in November. The identity fraud charge alone carries up to 5 years. The bigamy charge in Ohio is a misdemeanor, which still felt insufficient to me, but Renata explained that the federal charges were the real weight. I'm not going to tell you what his sentence was, because the case is still in process as of today, and I'm not legally supposed to comment on the specifics. But I will tell you that his real estate license has been suspended pending the outcome, and that the house in Dublin is on the market. I received a formal financial settlement from the marital assets that were vacated in 2013, money I never expected to see, from accounts he had liquidated before he left. It doesn't undo 10 years. Nothing undoes 10 years. But it's something. Here's what I haven't told you yet. The thing I found out in October that made my hands shake all over again, but differently this time. When Gary the P. I was running his background check on David Marsh, he cross-referenced the identity documents, and he found something that had nothing to do with Daniel. The identity, the David Marsh identity, had been purchased through a broker. Gary tracked the broker. The broker had, at the time, also helped another man build a new life. A man who had disappeared from his family in 2011. My brother-in-law, Daniel's older brother, Michael, who had died in a hiking accident in Colorado in 2011, whose body was never found, and whose death we had all accepted because what else do you do when there's no body and the alternative is unthinkable, was alive. Is alive. Living in Portland, Oregon, under a new name. Michael had run from a gambling debt so catastrophic it had involved people Daniel was afraid of. That was the reason Daniel had known about the broker. Michael had told him not to recruit him, but as a confession. And when Daniel wanted to leave our marriage and was too much of a coward to do it honestly, he had used the same method his brother had used to run. 2 brothers, 2 erased lives, 2 women left behind, because Michael had also left a wife. His name was Carol. I called her. She had spent 12 years believing she was a widow. We had a long conversation. I told her everything. I don't know what she decided to do with it. That part is hers. I sold the house in Westerville in January. I had held on to it for 10 years. 10 years of spring flooding in the backyard and creaking floorboards, and a porch I loved, and a kitchen that still had the cabinet he built when we moved in. I had held on to it because leaving felt like admitting something I wasn't ready to admit. I bought a condo downtown, smaller, quieter. The windows face east, and in the mornings, the light comes in so clean and gold, it looks like the start of something. August died in December, 3 months before I found Daniel in that grocery store. He was 15 years old. He died on a Tuesday afternoon, on his bed in the living room, with his head in my lap. I think about that sometimes, that he didn't have to see the end of that chapter with me. That he got to leave while things were still unresolved, and I didn't. I got a new dog in February, a small terrier mix named Clover. She has absolutely no calm in her body, and she chews everything, and she follows me room to room like I might disappear. I let her. I'm not angry anymore. I want to say that clearly because I know it sounds unlikely, and I know some of you won't believe me. But the anger burned itself out somewhere between the coffee shop meeting and the prosecutor's office. What's left is something quieter. Not forgiveness. I want to be precise about that. Forgiveness implies I've decided what he did was acceptable, or that I've released him from consequences. I haven't, just distance. The kind that means you can look at a thing clearly without it pulling you under. There is a ring in the back of a drawer in my new condo. I keep meaning to sell it. I will. Just not today. I've thought a lot about what I want to say here, because this isn't really a story about a man who disappeared. It's a story about what happens to the person left behind. You build a life in the shape of someone who's gone. You organize everything, your grief, your time, your sense of self, around an absence that has no explanation, no ending, no edge you can touch. And then, one day, the explanation is just there, in a cereal aisle, holding a child who has his eyes. And you have a choice. You can let it undo you. That would be understandable. That would be human. Or you can put the granola bars back on the shelf, walk to your car, and decide what you want the next chapter to look like. Nobody builds your life for you, not even the people who promised they would, especially not them. If you made it to the end of this, thank you. Genuinely. Leave me your city in the comments. Leave me what you would have done in that grocery store. And if you know someone who needed to hear this today, share it with them. Subscribe to Eyes Don't Lie. New story every week. And if you want to see where this kind of silence begins, watch the video that's on your screen right now. I think you're going to recognize some of it. Take care of yourselves. I mean it. Claire.